Okay guys, so I've been asked a few questions about the i6x autopilot system. So this one's installed in a camo, and just to give you the rundown on how actually the system works. So first things first, you always put the remote on first, then your boat. It will establish connection. You can see there, it will look for the system, picks up the main battery of the boat. It must establish a connection first. Now you can see it's connected. Obviously we're indoors, it'll look for satellites. So these are satellites there, your distance to a point, and then your manual, what mode are you in, manual, autopilot, etc. I'm just going to keep refreshing the screen so you can see. So on this configuration on this boat, this is your rear hopper, your spinner. This is a relay, so the GPS is on a little bit, then the lights are on, and then your fish finder is on, okay, if you wish to have it in that orientation. So yeah, so at the moment it's just a little bit on, and then our GPS will then kick in and it'll give meters over here. This is the speed of the boat in navigation in autopilot mode. This is to navigate, save, return home, okay, battery backup. This is to select your points of interest, left and right. You'll see that'll change there on the screen, 0 and 1. And this is to obviously steer the boat and left and right. Okay. Now, first things first, you have to save a home position, which is always going to be on 0. But remember, on this system, you've got 25 locations and 20 points per location. So let's say you made replay location 1. So anything under location 1 will be, any points saved under that location will then obviously be saved for future use. Keep yourself a little black book. So I want to work within location 1. So I go all the way down to save. And you'll see over here, we're in location 1 at the moment, and you can change it here with this, with the left and right. See now location 2, up to 25 points. So I'm going to keep it on location 1. Alright. So anything within this location now that I save will be saved for future use. So now I'm out of save. Now I can save points, and you'll see over here I can select my points with the left and right. So there's 2, 1, 0. Okay, 0 must always be your home position. Okay, so we're always going to save home first. You're going to save it left or right, or you'll swim where it's not going to come back over your lines. So that's 0. We've driven the boat out to whichever point that will be, and we're going to say we're going to drop our bucket. You must always select a bucket, so we can drop the bucket all the way down to save. You'll see it says save. It saves that point. We go out of it. Okay, now home is saved. You're going to drive out to a point, wherever it may be. Drive out X amount of distance. You're going to select whatever point you want to call that. So let's say that's the right rod, and that's number 1. I want to drop my bucket, spin my spinner, whatever orientation you use, it'll save it once you record it. So you could do both, or you could just do the spinner, just the bucket, whatever. So we're going to say I'm going to drop my bucket, spin my spinner, and I'm going to save that. Saves it, back out of save, and then lift your buckets again. That point is saved, and you just repeat that for every single point of interest that you want to save. Then if you want to come back home, you just say return home. Cool, it says returning home. Obviously we're indoors now, so it's moving all over the place, the satellites. And if you want to navigate to whatever point you want to go to, so let's say point 1 is where we saved our imaginary point earlier. So you're going to go to point 1, and you're going to go middle, navigate. It'll then take the boat to that point, drop the bucket, spin the spinner, and after a elapsed time of 20 odd seconds, it will then return home to your home point. If you don't want it to return home, you just cancel. Once it reaches the point, drops the bait, you just cancel your navigation by putting it up, and in the later stage you just tell the boat to return home with this switch here, and then it returns home. If the remote fails or signal's lost, it's configured to drop the bucket and then return home to the home point. Cool, I think that covers about it. And then obviously that's your battery, your main battery in the boat's voltage. It will start complaining when it gets low. It's set to whatever designated voltage, whatever battery you're running. And yeah, and that's obviously how many satellites you're picking up, and that's your distance from your point of interest, home or whatever point you've selected, and that's manual return. It'll tell you what it's doing at that point. Cool. And then just remember, you need over, I think on this system it's over 12 satellites for it to function properly. And yeah, that's that. Alright, so we're at the dam, and just to show you everything in real life, so we've put the remote on first, put the boat in the water. We're picking up 18 satellites. We are working within zone or area 2, location 2. Just go out of there. We want to have 0 is our home spot, which is going to be out in front here. So we're going to say drop the bucket, we're on 0, drop the rear bucket, save that point, say save, out again, and we drive out to a point of interest. So we drive out to a point of interest, so let's drive out to the right here. My battery's a bit flat on this boat at the moment, and so we are now 24 meters out from where we saved home position. Let's take it to the corner there. Let's say about there. Okay, so we're 53 meters out. You can see it's complaining about my battery. We're going to drop the rear bucket at point number. You're going to use our thingy, point number 1. We're going to say I'm going to drop the rear bucket. I'm not going to use the spinner. I'm going to save that point. Saved. Cool. Then we say return home. We'll bring the boat home. Returning. Boat's at full speed. It's going to turn the boat around for us. First 10 meters will be slow, and the last 10 meters will be slow, so it finds its bearings. It'll start picking up speed now. So we are 52 meters from our home point. There it picks up speed, and you can see 40 meters to 38 to home point. Slows down. Five meters, 3 meters. There we go. Point arrived. Going to take it out of navigation. So now let's turn the boat around a bit so we can head off to our spot. I'm just going to pick the bucket up. Okay, so the bucket's back up again with our bait loaded, whatever, and we are on point 1. We want to navigate. It says it's going out to point 60 meters out. There she goes. Boat's going to be at full speed once the 10 meters is elapsed, and then it'll start going out. We are 14 meters to target, 13 meters to target. Target arriving. Drops the bait, bucket, and then it waits for your lines to sink, and then auto returns. If you don't want it to auto return, you just cancel navigation, and then you just say you to use the return button on the screen. So we're going to wait for that time to elapse. We'll say returning home once it's finished with its time lapse there. Returning home. We are now 62 meters from home. Boat's turning around. $54 meters to home. Picks up speed now. You're 1 meters to home. Home arrived. Okay, take it out of navigation. Cool, now let's just take the boat out again and then just mimic that the remote fails. Okay, so we were 34 meters from home and the boat's out there and your remote dies or you lose signal or whatever. Turns the boat around and it brings it back home again. See, the remote's still off. There we go. Put the remote back on. Great, that's it.